Breaking news from London. Elon Musk just set off a political earthquake that's shaking Britain to its core. With one post on X streamed live to millions, he exposed what he says are confidential UK government documents. And within hours, Prime Minister Keir Starmer's administration was thrown into panic mode. What began as a dry debate over digital sovereignty has erupted into a full-scale constitutional crisis. Markets are crashing. The king has broken decades of royal silence, and the credibility of Britain's government is collapsing in real time. 3 days earlier, Keir Starmer stood at the dispatch box in Parliament with fiery conviction. He announced sweeping new digital regulation laws, a so-called sovereignty tax on every social media platform operating inside the UK. His words were blunt. The era of tech billionaires exploiting British citizens ends today. The plan was meant to prove moral leadership, a government standing up to Silicon Valley. Instead, it triggered one of the biggest political explosions in modern British history. Across the Atlantic, Elon Musk wasn't interested in quiet diplomacy. During a Tesla board meeting broadcast live on X, he looked directly into the camera and dropped his bombshell. He claimed to have internal labor strategy documents discussing online speech monitoring ahead of next year's election. Then, with 180 million followers watching, he said they don't want regulation. They want control over what British citizens can read, watch, or say online. The impact was instant. Financial markets trembled. The pound fell nearly 3%. In a single day, the steepest drop in over a year. Investors began dumping UK tech stocks. Pension funds lost billions in value overnight. At 2:15 p.m., the Treasury tried to calm the chaos with an emergency statement. It didn't work. Former Bank of England advisor Timothy Harrington called the crash a devastating blow to Britain's financial credibility at exactly the wrong time. Behind every falling graph line were real lives: teachers, nurses, and factory workers watching their retirement savings shrink because of a policy few understood and no one had tested. Then came the moment no one expected. Inside Buckingham Palace, during a scheduled Privy Council meeting, King Charles III broke 70 years of royal neutrality. With senior ministers sitting just feet away, he spoke calmly, but every word carried the weight of history. Britain's greatest strength, he said, has always been its commitment to open debate and the free exchange of ideas. Any attempt to restrict that freedom risks undermining the very foundation of our democracy. Those 38 words hit like thunder across Westminster. It wasn't a direct political attack, but everyone understood the message. The Crown had drawn a line. By evening, the country was erupting. In Manchester, Birmingham, Leeds, and Glasgow, thousands flooded the streets chanting, "Hands off our internet," and holding signs that read, "Free speech isn't negotiable." Polls released the next morning confirmed it. Over 60% of Britons, including nearly half of Labour voters, opposed any government restrictions on online content. What started as a policy debate had become a grassroots rebellion. Inside Number 10, panic spread like wildfire. Cabinet ministers argued behind closed doors. The Home Secretary reportedly threatened to resign unless the bill was delayed. The Chancellor warned colleagues that Musk's influence was underestimated, and that public opinion was spinning out of control. Leaked WhatsApp messages from Labour MPs painted a picture of despair. "We're picking a fight we can't win," wrote one backbencher. "He has a bigger megaphone than our entire party combined." Sensing blood in the water, Rishi Sunak stepped in. At an emergency press conference, he declared, "This government would rather silence critics than solve real problems: NHS waiting lists, energy bills, the cost of living crisis. They've lost their way and the trust of the British people." Across town, Nigel Farage saw his moment. At a packed Birmingham rally, he thundered, "When governments fear citizens speaking freely, it's time for citizens to fear their government." The crowd roared. Elon Musk retweeted the clip to 180 million people with the words, "Britain deserves better leadership." That single post lit the political fuse even brighter. While Westminster burned, the damage spread beyond politics. 5 major tech firms froze investments worth over $8 billion. British startups lost international funding overnight. 3 trade unions long time. Labour allies issued a rare joint statement warning of job losses and even threatened to suspend party donations if the crisis continued. Financial analysts warned that without Silicon Valley cooperation, Britain's innovation sector could shrink for years. The FTSE 100 slid again as investors priced in the chaos. But the most damaging twist was still to come. Leaked Polling from Labour's own research team surfaced, data showing 76% of voters opposed any government interference in social media content. Starmer had reportedly seen those numbers months earlier and ignored them. One advisor recalled him saying, "Voters will thank us later when they understand what we're protecting them from." That arrogance, more than any policy detail, became the story. By week's end, Labour's poll numbers collapsed. Reform UK surged past 23%. Conservatives climbed back above 40%. And inside Labour headquarters, survival meetings ran until dawn. Whispered about no confidence votes. Union funding froze. International media called it the biggest credibility crisis for a British government in decades. Through it all, the King stayed silent, dignified, composed, untouchable. That silence spoke louder than any statement. In the space of 1 week, Britain's power balance shifted. A tech billionaire challenged a sitting government. A monarch defended free speech. And millions of ordinary Britons rediscovered their voice. The question now isn't whether Keir Starmer can fix his digital policy, it's whether he can survive it. Because this isn't just about tweets and taxes anymore. It's about trust, transparency, and the timeless battle between those who rule and those who speak. This is more than a political crisis. It's the story of a nation learning that in the digital age, information is power and silence is surrender.